Hey guys, Lucky Letshabo here. Another week of Coach on a Couch. Jeez, what a weekend to be a South African, particularly down under in Australia. And as you can see, I had some couriered from down under to join us very, very quickly here after our efforts over the weekend. So plenty to talk about. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Dongster, how was that weekend?
Lucky Luckster, action-packed. I mean, what more do you want?
Listen, coming straight from the Olympic Games, I mean, we did give people a fair warning that, action-packed is going to come. That didn't have a DSTV subscription, I'm sure were found wanting this weekend.
Our sportsmen and athletes are sure making it easy for us to be proudly South African.
Well, proudly South African won, but they're not making it easy for us to be active outside because, I mean, the amount of time I had just to go to the bathroom over the weekend in between all the sports that was on. Anyway, I don't know about my watch and my steps that I did this weekend, but I can tell you what was moving was my elbow to my wrist in a 90-degree angle.
Well, I think that's the earliest I've been awake on a Sunday morning, so...
In quite a while. And not going to church, I assume.
Wow.
Religion takes many forms. Talk us through it, Dongsa. We had the last of the very, very last schoolboy rugby fixtures this weekend.
Yes, you said so. And you said it was a bit of a clean sweep as well. So tell us what happened there.
Paulus up against the mighty Great College. A thumping victory for them. 36-3 in that first team result, which, from a Paulus point of view, they've had a fantastic season. Take nothing away from a Great College. In conversation with a couple of the people that know a little bit more rugby than I do. On one hand, are other teams getting better in terms of competing with the ground at that level? Yes, and credit to their programs that they've put in place, that they are able to be competitive because depending on which side of the fence that you sit on, no one wants to lose 100-0, no one wants to beat somebody 100-0. So the fact that you're now starting to see those top echelon schools, those 1 to 10, and I won't talk through the order because it's very subjective, but you can see the guys that are really competing week in, week out at that level there. It just makes schoolboy rugby so much better. It makes it more competitive and ultimately gives us some top-class athletes coming out of school.
Well, Paul definitely came to the party, not only in first team. I think it was a full school sweep.
Couple of results, if I remember correctly, the under 16 and under 14 result also going in their favor there. So a mixed bag of results, but certainly if you were wearing maroon on the day, it wouldn't be the incorrect color to wear.
Well, Paul doing something right.
Something right down there, and it's like I said, it's fantastic to see, but also take nothing away from Grey. I think the trouble sometimes with doing as well as they do. 100% season is expected.
Yes.
So all of a sudden they don't get to 100%.
And then it's looked at as a bad season.
Yeah,
when
it's
almost really
looked
not.
At, throw these guys out type thing. So certainly not the case from a great college point of view. But the other schools, good to see them competing at that level.
Okay, well, you in your Lions jersey. So
come on,
I take it Mzeke did the thing again.
Listen, I was there at the stadium. I had to rush across from the watering hole that I was at, where I was watching the Springbok Australia game, rushed across here to Ellis Park. What an atmosphere, but we really need to do better in terms of getting support there. It's nice to see a winning brand of rugby that Zwaki Nkosi has managed to put together there. It's a festive environment, it's a nice environment. The stadium's looking clean, it's looking sharp, it's looking polished.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, how was your time at Ellis Park?
Brilliant.
Forget about the rugby now, being a fan in the stadium. How was it?
It was brilliant. Easy access, easy parking, easy to get food and beverages, and just a festive environment as well, which sometimes is very difficult to do considering the size of that stadium and obviously not full to capacity, but that main grandstand that's there, we all pack in there. And it really is lovely. It really is lovely. So I do encourage everybody, the home games of the Lions, certainly to get them support. And then to see the brand of rugby on offer was just absolutely fantastic.
I'm just really glad to hear that Ellis Park is in a good place again and that you want to go there. The Bokke played New Zealand there end of the month.
We don't have a choice. By fire, by force, we'll be there.
I guess they could be playing anywhere, but...
I was looking on the social. Some of the guys that we went to school with made it all the way across Australasia. I was like, yeah, well, my time machine doesn't work that well to consult Harry Potter there, but certainly for Ellis Park, I can make a plan.
Okay, well, while we're on the Currie Cup, let's get through some results. The Lions being the only home team to win this
Only
weekend.
home team to win. You know, I've got a couple of friends in that Western Province side that I was hoping, you know, to catch up with after their game, but yeah. Apparently, message came from the top to say, on your bike. There were guys who were at the airport as soon as the referee went final whistle. So
yeah, I think after you take a bit of a hiding like that from the Lions, your coach makes you do a few shuttles after the game, eh? All right, well, the Griffins going down to the Griquas, 7:59. Cheetahs going down to the Sharks in a nail biter, 2025. And then Pumas going down to the Bulls, 24-40. And then, of course, the Lions, the Boykies, Mzeke and Kosi.
Telling you, man, telling you, the formulas, you know, people that sit on this couch, all of a sudden they start to shake things up a little bit. But really nice to see the level of competition once again. Really nice to see the results-wise as well. You know, we've had some really nice and decent results, particularly from the bit of the smaller franchises. This is a time where they put up their hand really to be counted in this competition. Yes. So it's boiling up nicely, the stew. Yeah.
I think we're going to have to get Mzeke, or another Currie Cup coach, because I have some very big questions. One of which being, when the players arrive at your franchise, surely everybody's at a similar level. I mean, we're all good.
Yeah.
What does it take to be consistently winning? But don't answer that. We'll get somebody in for us.
I was about to say, geez, can we take an ad break while I call a friend?
All right. And then international rugby.
Yeah.
New Zealand making things right, I can say.
Back on the right track.
Back on the right track with a dominant win. Not even who was there last week compared to this week? It's...
You know, they call that, and you know, with respect to Argentina, they call it eating all your lunch at first breaker. You remember those sessions where you've just finished morning training, your lunch at first break. There's nothing for after school. So unfortunately, you know, they pumped it all out in that first test. Then just not too much in the tank. But credit for New Zealand for turning things.
Yes, they won by 32, so 42-10, and then Boca versus Oz.
Just before we go to Boca versus Oz, another nice thing to see, you know, we've been talking about players that are coming back into national sides and things like that. TJ Perenara.
Oh.
TJ Perenara. You look, what, a season ago? He had what doctors said was a career-ending injury to his lower leg and ankle. He was meant to be done and dusted, and a year later, here he is leading the haka again there. So absolutely brilliant. Wonderful to see an absolute champion of the game.
Yeah, we love a comeback story.
TJ Perenara. Oh, he was amazing. He should have given some advice to his opposite number in Australian jersey there. Nick White. What was he doing? He thought he was an MMA fighter.
Listen, I think Australia actually got off really lightly because that weather held us back a lot. There were some crazy plays that just never managed to go to hand or finish because of like the conditions the guys were playing in. So I think Australia dodged a big bullet there because the boys were running nicely.
No, we really are, you know, and thanks again to that commentator from last week that said, you know, we can't all be awesome in English. We certainly put foot on. The guys that came off the bench, instrumental once again, and a really good outing, really solid for the guys. And a good headache for Rassie Erasmus for the test coming up.
Well, there's one guy whose position is definitely cemented. I mean, he should be the second best rugby player in the world, Cheslin Kolbe.
Man, Cheslin can do no wrong. He can't do any wrong, that guy. We love him. Let's just keep doing what he's doing. And then also old Sasha Fanbeng, Gomezulu.
Yes.
Met Sonny Bill Williams. He's a little bit as tall as him now. He released that video of him being a Pikinini taking a photo.
Okay, that's cool.
So lovely to see him, and long may his journey continue. You know, you get a lot of athletes that break out into the scene similar to how he has started. And then either the pressure or just, you know, the height of the action get to players and they fizzle away. So long may it continue for him. He's playing some exceptional rugby.
I always wonder, so now Pollard looks at a guy like Sasha. Does he then give him all his tips and tricks and everything to one day build a better fly half for the Boca, or does he hold a little bit back so maybe he can keep his spot kind of story.
Hey, that one day is not yet. So just hold that book just here yet. You can just offload a couple of things, but don't sell your entire game plan to him. They just bring him along.
I've seen they actually have a really good relationship.
Yeah, they seemingly do, which is wonderful. And I mean, you can just imagine having star on top of star on top of star in that Springbok setup. It can get tricky and awkward sometimes.
I bet the whole game, the Bokke were pushing for it to end so that they could get down to the stadium for some UFC.
And they all made it down there. I saw them in the box there. The Springboks had made it down. Obviously, Eben and Siya Kolisi did the walkout. Not every day you get 2 World Cup winners to walk you out for a UFC fight. Huh?
Yes, I saw a little story about the Americans asking questions about who the hell is Eben.
Who's this guy? Who's this big guy? Oh my goodness. We're like, bruh, it's a normal guy you meet in a spa in South Africa. Yeah, something like that. But brilliant for the guys to take time out of their day to support. Rudy Page was there as well, down under. So many Radio Raps was across there, so many people went down there.
It's just nice to see the passion goes both ways, because you know Drickus is a staunch rugby fan, so for the boys to go for him must have been huge.
Must have been huge for him.
I mean, the Bokke captain with his back-to-back Rugby World Cups walking you into your ring.
Casual. What do they say? Not in RSA, it's DNA. No, it's the other way around. Don't quote me. Moving swiftly along.
I see you brought your belt. So Drickus is obviously checker 60-60 that for you. For
Quickly. I know. Checker 60-60 is the one year.
How entertaining was that?
No, it was. I don't know which part was more entertaining. The pre-match, the actual fight, the end result, or the coach, my flag, coachy, my flag. I was like, Drickus, it's okay. We'll get it to you. All right, calm down. We know you're a patriot.
Yeah, and I mean, all the hype, the pre-press conferences were just crazy. We had Israel crying.
Then they go and hug it out afterwards. I'm like,
They asked Drickus if he'll rematch Israel. He says, I don't know. Does he want to cry again? But to the fight now.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, the commentator, he definitely had a favorite, and it was not Drickus.
Was it a favorite, or did he not know much of what was going on?
I don't know, because he kept acting like Israel was in the lead when I really didn't see that. And if you actually go and look at the scorecards, Drickus was always leading. I mean, it was close. It wasn't a whitewash by any means, but he did take the cherry every time and then sealed the deal with that choke. That is so cool. What did they say? They put Israel in a cook sister.
Yeah. So cook sister. And then the other meme was like, dear Proteas, this is who you'll choke.
I saw that. Hey, we're trying to push positivity. Yeah.
And I was like, hey, too soon. And those guys won across there. So congratulations to Drickus du Plessis. Bring it back home. We'll be waiting for him at the airport.
Yes, before we finish with Drickus, let's just talk about what's next for him.
Yeah.
So the big thing is that everyone's saying it should be Strickland. Strickland's the deserving
opponent.
Next up, it was a split decision, their last fight. I say old news.
Moving along.
Let's move forward.
Okay, so what would moving forward look like to you?
In my world, something that would be epic would be to fight Alex Pereira.
Is that not a different weight category, though?
It's a different weight category.
Right.
So Alex Pereira is the heavyweight champ. Light heavyweight champ.
Okay.
Then Drickus is middleweight champ.
Okay.
But there's a little trick that goes with this, which I learned from Israel, because Israel tried to do this. He went up to light heavy to try and fight the champion for the double belt.
Oh, is that why they sometimes got two belts?
They got two belts,
so different weight divisions.
So everyone's saying Alex can come back down because that's where he used to fight. I'm saying no, that shouldn't happen.
So does that also just secure Drickus's belt for the time being, because he won't be fighting in that category?
Yes, so that's the trick.
So it's a little double whammy.
So if Drickus goes up, and I mean he's got the frame to go up.
Okay.
We've got a little inside scoop here with the nutritionists, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
If he goes up and he loses, it's not a big deal.
You just push the elevator to go back to ground
down,
floor.
You've still got your belt. You're still cool.
Easy.
No problems, no stress. Where if it's the other way around, he will lose his belt if he loses. But if he wins,
done.
Yeah.
Then another public holiday on the cards,
The
perhaps.
double champ does what he wants, baby.
Okay. Just have to find a time when he fights. So when the president announces a public holiday, it's,
Yes, it'll be so cool. Well, that's the dream for me and for Drickus, but yeah, excited to see what actually happens.
Well, let's see. Let him just sober up first.
Did you see him do a down?
Yeah. He hasn't stopped since he won the fight.
I saw him doing a down this morning.
And then he gave a little shout out to Drake. I was like, okay, calm down. Yeah, and break.
The last time I saw somebody down their drink after a fight was in Boksburg.
Yeah, probably look how that turned out.
Oh, listen to the chirps coming from the back, yeah.
Yeah, they only expired 3 months ago, those jokes. But hey, glad to have you with us. Matthew. Then very quickly, the Proteas doing the things also against West Indies.
West Indies. Test 2, we wrapped it up on day 3.
Yes.
And we won by 40 runs.
Yeah. I saw Kagiso Rabada give a pitch report by the beach. So clearly they're doing more than just playing cricket there. They're just living La Vida Loca.
Oof, I mean, imagine going down to the West Indies and having to play some cricket on the side.
Side jobs, huh? Meanwhile, here I am with Dino on a Monday night. Dongster, let's see who's got on the couch this week. Mrs. Kirsten Macdonald, welcome to the couch. How are you doing? I saw you're thoroughly entertained by a little bit of banter between Dino, yeah? And we hope to include you in some of that just now. But before we get going, please look into that camera. Give us your name, your nickname, your surname, your claim to fame, and your reason to get up on a Monday.
My name is Kirsten Michelle Macdonald. I raced, getting into it later, but I raced under the name, my maiden name, Kirsten Michelle McCann. My claim to fame is that I am a South African rower. Well, I was a South African rower, been to 2 Olympics. I'm the first female world champion for South Africa and for Africa as well. And I think my reason to get up in the morning is probably that I can work with potentially athletes that can go and be the best in their sporting code. That's definitely what gets me up.
Dino, can we just go back to that claim to fame? It was a 3-pronged claim to fame.
And I feel like they were leaving some things out as
well. And
well.
I think there was some modesty going on there because, gee whiskers. So, let's go through that again. Okay, double Olympics you went to Beijing as well as
Rio.
Rio.
Yeah.
You are the first South African world champion for females.
Yes.
And first African as well in terms of world champs in terms of rowing.
Yes.
In your category.
Yes, in my category. Well, actually overall, like no other female has won a gold medal at a world champ. So I think outside my category as well. So just in terms of South African rowing.
Matthew,
give the belt over. Like
Matthew, do we have like a twin, something like this? Let's just give her the belt right now. I mean, Kirst, that's an amazing achievement. And again, thank you very much for making the time to come and chat to us. So as you would have heard, Kirsten very involved. I can't even say get involved. At the top of her game in terms of world rowing, and then also doubles up as I'm going to ask the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian in a moment. So we hope to have that conversation about where the state of rowing is at the moment. Give us a summary, Kirsten, your experience of where we're at with rowing in the country.
So, I mean, rowing it's a small sport relative. If we're thinking of like rugby and cricket and that, it's a small sport. Yet, definitely rowing punches way above its weight. I mean, if you think of how many registered rowers we have in relation to other countries, we are so much smaller. Yet it is, I mean, we haven't had medals in Tokyo or at this Olympics, but barring that, medaled at, it's been one of South Africa's strongest sports at the Olympics. I mean, obviously swimming is super strong, and so is athletics, but rowing, I mean, we've got the gold from 2012, we had silver in Rio from the main, and even in 2004 we had medals. So it's been very strong. So definitely punches above its weight, but there's no doubt it's under threat from sport like rugby because of the size of the guys that it attracts. In terms of our junior rowing, though, it's actually really strong. There's a World Champs happening now, the Junior World Champs and under 23s, and we've seen such a big team, which is really positive, both male and female, and it's really, I think it's, we're getting to be regular people that the world is quite scared of. Like when they race, when they line up next to South Africans, they know they're tough, they well coached, physiologically really good, and I think it's really exciting.
Sure. Kirsten, if you don't mind just putting the mic a little bit lower and closer to your mouth, that's perfect. Thank you. That's a lovely synopsis in terms of the rowing. So it's very, very niche, number one, but as Kirsty says, we've seen a lot of success at World Champs and at Olympic Games. Kersboy was also in the mix there together with the Parktown duo of Sean Keeling. They were in the mix there. So certainly does yield a result. You look at the Buffalo Regatta, one of the oldest sporting events at schoolboy and schoolgirl level in the country, and probably our most prestigious rowing event in the country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also seriously good fun as well. Like the rowers, there's one thing about rowers. They train hard. Well, we train hard, race hard, but there's no doubt that there's a good party after each regatta too.
Okay, so maybe a reason to change sports.
Rowing clubs.
Yeah, we've been to the rowing club. We haven't done the rowing part of it. We went to go support the fundraising efforts at the rowing clubs. I think that it's important to state the difference there,
If I remember correctly, rowing was quite big in school and a few cool dudes used to do it as well. Is that still the case?
It still is the case, but to Kirsty's point, it still is a very niche sport. So very, very closed and very, very specific. It's a very expensive sport in terms of the fundraising efforts that go in there in getting the boats out there, getting the travel organized, hosting of regattas. So, unless you're really keen on rowing, it's not like you back at school. You just needed to get in your parents' car with a cozy and a towel and then play a water polo game for an hour and then back hasty.
Listen, I'm sure I did a few sessions in my undies as well.
So, Kirst, you were having a conversation with Dino there off camera, explaining why were you not at these Olympic Games? Were you able to go? Did you qualify for the games?
So 2 years ago is when I raced my last international regatta, and I mean there's many parts to it. So it was a choice for me to step back from rowing, kind of focus on my next avenue. I'd been an athlete for a long time, living the absolute dream of being a full-time athlete. So kind of thinking, well, now I need to stop living the dream and go find what some people call a real job.
Tough in Cyril's economy, huh?
Well, in all fairness, yeah, we were very fortunate with support, but that's another story. So, yeah, I think it was a hard decision to step away because I still feel that I was on form. And, I mean, it was, at World Champs, I was fourth. That is the wooden spoon, the absolute pits of a place.
Okay, Simbini.
No,
too soon? Oh.
No, I mean, that poor guy, I sympathize so much because I've been fourth. But there's one thing, it either kills you, cuts you down at the knees, or you come back even stronger and faster. Yeah. Anyway, so I decided to step away, and a girl that I'd beaten at an international regatta in Italy in 2022, she then... quite similar size to me, even though racing in the open category sport, she, I mean, obviously progressed massively in 2 years, but then went on and won Olympic bronze. So that kind of leaves you thinking, could I have been there? Couldn't I? I mean, it's hard to say. You never know. Like, there's too many unknowns, but it still leaves you thinking. So no doubt, it's hard to watch Olympics because, you love it, and athletes definitely live such a cool lifestyle.
Yeah, so I want to ask you this. This is an Olympic that you didn't attend. How did it feel watching the Olympics from home this time?
I mean, it's hard. It's definitely hard. So, Tokyo, I gave a complete skip because we hadn't qualified. That was very bitter pill to swallow. So I gave that a skip, didn't watch much, caught up on social media afterwards. This time, I thought, okay, it's really hard to watch, but I'm absolutely going to watch it because, I mean, it's so cool to watch sport like that at that level. So I definitely gave it a watch, but it's hard. I suppose it cuts deep. Yeah, you want to be there. And also it's so cool. So there's no doubt. Obviously, it's really tough being at the Olympics. There's pressure and there's expectation. I mean, in Rio, we were tipped as medal favorites. And there's pressure and expectation. But, I mean, it's so cool. You're surrounded with like-minded people. You getting to do what you absolutely love doing for a job. Like, that's what you do. So watching around this time around, I mean, I definitely thought, oh, it's so cool, but it's still really cool to watch athletes getting to do that and experience it for the first time.
I can very much relate to that. I looked at the Olympic Games and I looked at that oak that was sitting in the stands on row Z with a beverage, and I thought to myself, I should be there also. So I can definitely relate in terms of the anxiety of not making it and qualifying to sit in row Z.
There are a few cold ones waiting for you there.
Yeah. It's always important to support the athletes. So I can relate. Athlete to athlete.
Since you've been to 2 Olympics, I mean, I think the thing for me that I would have loved to experience is the athlete village.
Yeah, I mean, that's like insane. It's I mean, you're very much conscious of where you're at and like this is where but it becomes home for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, but you're surrounded by very like-minded people, but like, I mean, overachievers. Like.
Yes, levels.
Yeah, and like you busy walking. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in our building in Rio, we were also in the same building as the Kenyans. And I mean, like, for me, who's now really enjoying running and that, like, you watch these Kenyans and you're like, they getting into an elevator with you. And, like, also people, like, walking to the dining hall, which, I mean, is ridiculous. It's like any food you want that you can't have because you're following such a strict diet. And you're just walking past thinking, okay, I'm definitely eating that when I'm done racing. Yes. I'm definitely eating that. And it's like, yeah.
So the fun happens when your racing is done?
Well, a portion of fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, also, you're walking and you've got someone zooming past because they're busy on their warm-up run and you don't know who it is. And then you've got, like, sudden commotion in the dining hall.
So you've got to keep professional the whole way through.
Yeah, I think also you're so focused on your results, but also there is downtime. So, I mean, I always think, like, I'll never forget after we'd been competing in Rio, I stayed on with my family, and at the time it was just my partner, Naz, my husband, and we were walking down the streets in Rio, and I mean, he's absolutely rugby mad, and there was Richie McCaw, because his wife was competing for the New Zealand, I think she was a hockey player, and he was like, oh, look how cool that is. And you acknowledge people, but you also realize as a sportsman, you want to give them space. Like, you don't hound them because they're just humans there. He's just there. But it was still cool to see. I mean,
so
no doubt.
Did you sleep on the cardboard bed?
No. So in Rio, we definitely didn't have cardboard beds.
I introduced them in Tokyo.
Tokyo was like the first groundbreaking. So no, I don't know what our beds were made of. But yeah, I mean, good sleep. At least also we had, I mean, shame, I don't mean to have a dig, but at least we had aircon in Rio. I don't think that was a thing in Paris.
Oh, well, I mean.
No, that would have made a difference.
There's enough in the buffet room for us to not have to worry about it.
So who would you say from your time at the games was your goo gaga moment? Like, you saw this athlete and you just thought to yourself, wow, never thought I'd meet this person before, and I can't believe I'm staying in the same place as him. I
do remember being in the dining hall and there was like huge commotion. You like look over and it's Novak Djokovic. That was super cool. I can't say I met him though. I can't say I met him because also I'm also like give the guys space.
Yes.
And,
But you were COVID space. You were 1.5 away, so you could see you waving behind his head.
Yeah, and it's so cool because you see this guy who's actually just so super humble and relaxed. That was very cool. But I must say, not in the village. I mean, Richie McCaw is definitely very cool. As a passionate Springbok supporter, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I must add in. We had a session in the gym the one day, and the Sevens guys were in there, and the Sevens coach came up. She's like, "Geez, the rowers train like really hard," and I was like, "That's cool," because they then went on it to win the bronze at the Rio Olympics, and I think it had the likes of Cheslin Colby and so
John de Jong.
Yes, there were some serious names in there, so it was quite cool to be complimented on how we train and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is also like local heroes. That's cool.
You talk about, the training structures and the training regimes, and I just want to touch on the ergo for a second, because I remember when we were at school, if you couldn't get into the pool from a VO2 point of view, they used to tell us, hey, 2Ks on the rowing machine. You used to do that pace racy thingamajiggy there, and then get that going as your warm up before you get in there. So we've seen quite a few different sporting codes and sporting disciplines take full advantage in terms of the ergo. The cycling thing is not very popular anymore, but because the ergo really gets the full body going. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I mean, the ergo is definitely, I think barring like cross country skiing, that's like the ergo is the next like best thing for full physiological benefits. I think cardiovascular, really very, very good. And if you're not on an ergo for a little while, it definitely leaves every muscle group feeling well worked. So the ergo is it's a very cool training mechanism. I think as rowers you get to explore the kinder side of the ergo too, because there's a lot of steady stuff, so lower intensity. But then there's no doubt, every Saturday morning we had hard pulling on that ergo that sent you to a pretty dark place that prepares you well to race other people.
So you're a rower. What is a kayaker? What is a canoer?
Okay, so kayaking and canoeing, you go forwards and we just go backwards. So we pride ourselves in going backwards and being able to stay straight and not crash most of the time. I think so. From my full understanding, the kayaking is what everyone thinks is canoeing. So you see the sprint kayaking, it happens after the Olympics, the week after the Olympics. What you're seeing in the doozy and stuff like that. And then the canoeing's when they kind of half up. Yeah, look, I stand to be corrected. But and then rowing, we're going backwards and we got really long oars and our boat's pretty long as well, and there's varying shapes.
And you're always connected to the boat.
Yeah, so it's like kind of in a gate.
Okay.
It like fits into a slot called a gate.
And then with rowing, you can be single, double, or in a team of 8.
Yeah, so you can be single, double, or there can be 2 of you, there can be 4 of you, and there can be 8. Yeah,
okay.
4 is like.
So when does the cox come in?
In the 8.
In the 8.
Yeah.
That was old Bosboom, huh?
Yeah, Bossy used to be the guy.
It just so happened that his height fitted
and
also.
he made first team in grade 8, so.
Yeah, well, no one else short enough with biceps.
But now I
like
saw something in the Olympics that any sex can be the cox. It doesn't have to be a male for the males race or a female for the females race.
Yeah. So, like the Dutch men, they won, I think they were silver or bronze. I stand to be corrected. But they had a female cox. And, it's pretty much who's best for the job.
You spoke about the singles, the doubles, the quads, and the 8, which is your normal pairing there. Tell us about the different categories. I know you were talking off mic now about the category that you were involved in. How do they differ?
So there's 2 categories. Lightweight, which you have a average crew weight. If you're in a crew boat, you're weighing in 2 hours before you race. You've got an average weight, and then you've got a maximum weight. So for women, the average crew weight's 57 kilograms and a maximum.
Person.
Yeah. So your combined weight has to be 57 and, combined average weight, 57. And then you can have a maximum weight of 59 kilos. And then for males, it's an average weight in your crew of 70 kilos and a maximum of 72.5. And then anything above that just falls into open weight, or you might hear rows talking about heavyweight. And that's, it's an open category.
Okay, so I could do a double by myself then.
If you can paddle a yacht, maybe.
Sorry, can we switch his mic
Sorry,
please?
sorry, man.
Gee whiskers.
Small little thing. Sorry, man.
Oh wow. Okay, so we've got the categories sorted. We've got the weight categories sorted as well. Do you have something called like a mixed doubles as well?
No, not at World Championships, no.
Not at World Championships.
No.
Where would that happen?
Well, I suppose that can happen, like that happens Masters. So maybe when you're done on the, with elite rowing, then you want to row as a master, then you can do mixed. But no, not. It's pretty much, there's males, females, yeah.
Okay, and then your achievements, that came from the single boat.
So single and double. So through my career, I was kind of, as a junior, I rowed a single and a double, and then under 23s single. And then when I moved into the senior categories, it was in the double, and then I moved back into single. Yeah.
So if you row in the singles, isn't it like taken that you would now row in the eights as well?
So you don't often get doubling up. You can, like this Olympics, it was damn impressive. The Romanian women, they doubled up. They got silver in the double, and then they went and won gold in the eight. But it's like quite unheard of in rowing to double up.
Okay. I
think, so the rowing program happens over a week, and you've got to make sure that you're in an event that's alternating. And yeah, it's, I think physiologically just super
And then
intensive.
how long is a race in distance?
2,000 meters.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2,000 meters.
2 kilometers, Dino.
Yeah, 2 kilometers.
Yeah, I don't know why rowers say 2,000 meters and not 2Ks.
Every meter counts when you're having to move that thing, eh?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about this CV here. Listen to this, Dino. Chris talks about how casual, I was rowing a little bit, yeah. She makes it sound like you're golfing every week.
Please.
Just been there, done that. How's this? Junior World Rowing Championships, twice placed in the top 4. Under 23 Championship, first female to win a medal for South Africa. Bronze in the lightweight single scull. That's by yourself, Dino. World University Champion, gold medal in the lightweight scull. World University Games gold medal champion in the lightweight single scull. Youngest competitor to Beijing Olympic Games in 2008. Bronze medal at the 2015 World Rowing Championships. And lightweight women's double sculls. First South African woman, alongside her partner, Ursula Gobler, that she mentions here, to win a medal at the Senior Rowing World Championships. Gets better. 6-time World Cup medalist in lightweight single scull and lightweight double scull. Gold medalist at the World Rowing Championships in 2017. And that made her the first South African and African female to win gold at a World Championship. So all in all, 11 World Cup regattas and race at 10 World Championship regattas, including juniors and under 20.
I don't even have that many achievements on my PlayStation, Lucky.
Yeah, there wouldn't be enough space to save it all.
As Lucky goes through those, can you remember every moment of...
Yes. So, I think I definitely can. And I think one thing is you just... I remember my partner, Ursula, she said to me after one of the World Champs, she was just like we had just won our semi and we had made the final, and we had been in a World Cup earlier that year, and we had been, I had been sick and we just didn't have a great regatta at all. And she's like, I just love how excited you get just to make the final. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Like, you're now top 6 in the world and you've got 50% of landing on the podium. You get to race against everyone, and it's so cool. So, you learn to savor those moments, especially the bad results burn. Yes, they burn so badly. But
you can still feel how hectic
I'm
you
sure
feel
that's
about
while
it.
you're being an athlete. When now in the position you are to look back, I mean, you got to look past those bad moments and just...
Yeah, I mean, you know, in Rio, we were tipped to, I mean, as a medal hopeful. We had medaled at the World Champs before. Every World Cup, 2015, 2016, we had medaled at, and we're going in. And I remember we had won our heat, won our semi, and we ended 5th in the final. And that was devastating, absolutely devastating for us. We had and at the time, you can't appreciate how good that result is, that you're 5th at the Olympics and you got to race in a final, you got to line up with possibly winning a medal.
Just that feeling of being so close to a
But
medal,
it takes a long time to get to that point. And I'm so glad I have got to that point. And I'd look back and I'm like, geez, actually, that was awesome. But there's no doubt that result fueled me to come back in 2017 and want to be, unquestionably be the best. And not, I mean, we were second till the 1500 and we ended 5th. And I was like, to hell with this. There's absolutely no ways I will ever get rowed down ever again. And so in 2017, I just wanted to absolutely dominate. So there's also that feel, that fire that sparks you. And that's what you could use from disappointment.
So what have you done with all your medals? I'm sure it's a trunk load of medals.
So I think, the important ones, they just we have a cabinet and that's open and I just have them there. I don't want to make a big deal about them because it's
sheesh, that would be the complete opposite for me. You'd have to come into my house, you'd have to polish my medals before you can come in.
You have to go for the grand tour before you enter the sitting room type thing. So, Kirst, formidable rowing career. I'm sure it was up to you. You'd still be going at it. In the meantime, and over and above that, you're a science teacher at Jeppe High School for boys. You're involved in the cross country, in the rowing across at the school. And then I saw you on the side of the rugby field from pre-season last year. Tell us about that journey and that transition at Jeppe.
So after I finished my degree, as an athlete, you also I say it to people as I didn't want my brain to rot. So you kind of enjoy being free, not studying. Yeah, that's awesome. And then you get to a point where you want to study more. And my brother came across this course. It's a postgrad in sports nutrition. So you have to have certain academic, certain degree, a science degree, etc. And then you can apply for it. But it's run through the International Olympic Committee. And I was like, he just said to me, because this sounds so much like you. So I was like, awesome, give it a go. And it's run over 2 years. And it really was. I mean, so basically it incorporates all these top lecturers, professors, doctors from all over the world that run this program. And they're all super passionate about sport, and then it's bringing in the nutrition and everyone thinks nutrition's learning about food. I suppose it is, but it's actually about what's happening inside your body. And I suppose for a lot of people that's a bit boring. They just want to know, how can I get big fast and win?
I know a guy. Yes.
So yeah, I started doing that, and then once I'd completed it, I've grown up around a family who's really passionate about rugby and sport, and brothers who played sport, and my dad who was a comedy runner, and you just start seeing the value of nutrition, besides also being an athlete myself and realizing that it's not just about the training or the gym, or it's also about how you recover, how you eat. And so I approached the rugby coaches at JP, and I said to them, it was actually just it was the end of the year staff party, and I was like, I have this qualification I've just got, and I'm really keen to get involved because I think I've got something to add, just a different side to the rugby. And they were just embracing, they're absolutely. And the next thing I'm chatting to guys, and it's quite strange because when you on the side of a rugby field, you expect to just kind of see the rugby coaches and the bench, and then there's this female standing there too, and they're like, what is this chick doing here? So, yeah. And
somebody brought their chick to the game.
Guys, only staff members allowed here, but little they know. So Kirsten Macdonald gets involved next in Jeppe beating Grey. So I don't know what she fed them that morning, but certainly something into the water there. So you ask to get involved. They say, okay, cool. Something obviously very new to the JP High School for Boys environment in terms of having somebody look after the boys and nutrition. Because at the moment, the majority of them are in the boarding house and, hey, you just eat anything and everything available as much as you can.
Well, you try and make your $20 stretch at the
as
touch
far
shop
as possible. So, if it's Foxy Necks and a half loaf, it's Foxy Necks and a half loaf.
You get that packet of chocolate biscuits that fit in your blazer pocket.
Just about. So, where do you even start?
So, I had a plan in place. So, I actually just approached initially the Parents Association because I had a chat to the coaches and we were saying, what can you do? How can we introduce it? And what is my vision? And they were Parents Association, the rugby patrons. They were like, okay, cool. This is what we can do for you. This is my plan. And we started going that way. And then, it starts off quite basic and you, just identifying small things. And then, our director of rugby, he has contacts and he got us involved with Future Life, which is really cool. They've come on board so much and they've just bridged a bit of a gap. But that's awesome because for during the week, boys are always hungry. Geez, I'm so glad.
I'm still hungry.
My new motto to the guys is just don't be hungry. If you're hungry, you need to come to me, get some Future Life or just get food.
So you speak about, just starting with the small things. What does that look like? Is it I assume you're working just with a first team group of rugby players?
Yeah.
So is it a case where hop on a scale, let's check your BMI type thing? Is it a case of, what position is this player? What's his output expected to be? And we go along to that. Is it checking what the boys are eating in the boarding house and adjusting that? Talk us through, dumb it down for us, please.
Cool. So, what I did at the beginning of the season was send out a nutritional questionnaire just to get to know the guys. What do they eat for breakfast? What do they eat for lunch? Do they feel what they're eating for dinner? Do they feel like they're getting enough food? And then, are they hungry? What are they having before training? What are they having after training? What do they eat? What time are they eating? Are they, also because a lot of the guys are in hostel or they getting up and having to get to school, they're eating at breakfast really early and then there's maybe a lunch and then there's a dinner and I'm thinking, no, this is not happening. So getting to know their nutritional habits and then game day habits as well, that's been a big thing for us that we've worked on, what's working for them, pre-match meals, post-match, because a lot of our guys, especially coming around, we're starting with a couple warm-up games, end of Feb, beginning of March, and then we're moving into the festivals. This year, we had back-to-back, we went straight from Noordzee into Easter Festival, straight into games, and then by May, we getting into trials. So what are they doing post-game? So, guys they just eat what I give them they do get choice. Let me clarify that. They get choice and they eat and then they're not thinking about, the next training session they're doing. So I'm then thinking and planning, okay, we need to get recovery in. And then, so that's more the in season. But now as we're moving into preseason, it's also it's periodized. So what phase of training we're in now? We're moving into a gym phase, so a strength phase. So how's the food eating there? We obviously have to enhance and make sure they're as strong as possible. Then as we move into the competition phase, it's so energy intensive. They're training, there's hard sessions. Are they recovering? So about all the food groups and then making sure that they're recovering well enough, because if they're not recovering, there's more chance of them getting injured. And so it's all covering that, how can we prevent them? And also illness. The guys have been so awesome because I know that vegetables aren't a firm favorite of most teenage or adolescent guys or any athletes. And it's actually the role that the fresh fruit and veg play in the immune system. And so I think once they understand that, then there's 100% buy-in. It's just
sure.
Yeah. And it's been so cool because the guys have bought in like so well.
Well, I don't think they got a choice in the matter, but I'm glad that they chose to buy in rather than to oppose it. So talk us through game day.
Okay.
Dino arrives there. He's playing at kickoff at 1:30 for the first team kickoff. What time's he eating breakfast? What is he having for breakfast? Is he having a mid-morning snack? Talk us through that, please.
So, I mean, it's so individualized. So let's rewind a couple of days. There's a little bit of a questionnaire that goes out to the guys.
Like every week?
Yeah, every week. And it's like, okay, so firstly, I get to know the guys. Who struggles to eat before the game? Because, I mean, nerves are a real thing.
Yes.
And who can't stomach, who can. And the biggest thing is, okay, so can you eat something on the day? Or can't you? Then what's happening the day before? How are we making sure that you're well nourished before? But a couple of days before a questionnaire goes out, and it's all about like a pre-match meal. So what are they going to be choosing to have? And it's all very much like what they prefer. So a couple options, and then I go shopping and I get the stuff for them. And then on game day, arrive, and it's a very specific timing. So they'll have breakfast, but I mean, again, you know, you're playing an away fixture. Like when we played Monument, sometimes the breakfast is served at like 5 in. So already some of the guys are saying, we don't want to be up at 5. They can arrange late breakfast. Some of them also want something a bit more simple, so then I make sure that they've got some oats or something like that ready for them. And then we've got their meals, which they've got a specific time period, so I'll deliver it for them and they eat it between these times. And then they eat, and then I get going with, I mean, you know, I know which guys are struggling a bit with, they struggle with cramping or they nerves, and so we kind of just work with that.
Who knew that food had a role to play with nerves? You know, I thought Kirsty's just like, hey, there's future life. Go mad, guys. See you later for the first team game.
Different. Like remember us, we would have breakfast in the morning, then do morning training. First period, you eat your lunch.
Yes.
Then by the time first break comes, you got to decide whose lunch you're stealing for the day.
Yeah.
And then post school, you would go get a loaf of bread and a packet of slab chips and share that with your mate before your 5K swim in the afternoon.
Before the 5K swim, yeah. And that was everybody, whether you're lactose intolerant, whether you didn't eat white bread. Hey, man.
I think also
all here now.
The boys are hungry. So if you just put the right things in front of them, they will eat it.
Yeah. And I think also, like, the reality is they don't want to know the science behind it. As much as I really want to give it to them, they're not really, that's not for them. I mean, that's how I studied, and they just, so I kind of just say, look, this is why we're doing it. And they're like, no, that's cool. They don't question it because they know. I think, you know, also the one thing is that when you introduce something new, I mean, until they feel good or the game's working for them, and I say, guys, you have to give me feedback. If you think that was absolutely awful, then you got to tell me, because then I can't do that again. I can't give that to you again. What works for you, what doesn't. And so, like, a two-way. And also, like, you know, I think some people think I'm absolutely mad, like giving them options, like it should be just, this is what you get. But it's so individual, and what makes, besides the fact that you've got to feel really good when you run on that field, and you've got to feel like you are absolutely invincible. Yeah, there's that psychology behind it, but also you've got to have the energy. Also, we can't have the guys reach halftime and they're absolutely flat and they want to go to bed.
So those halftime oranges that we used to have, Dino, obviously that wouldn't be the case now.
Yeah. Well,
Clearly
I think the boys are really lucky to have you. I mean,
no pun intended.
We had absolutely no guidance whatsoever.
No. And Kirst, I hear you speak about nutrition from a food source point of view. You speak about fruit, you speak about vegetables. I don't hear you speaking so much about supplementation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come across any person involved in the nutritional space that has studied it. It's always a food first approach. I mean, yes, supplementation has a role, but I really do firmly believe in a school space where you, especially because I'm working in a boys' school, there needs to be not a huge emphasis on supplementation because they're still growing, guys. I mean, boys can grow up till the age of 21. Yes, it starts slowing down, but you don't want to interfere with those processes of growing. And I think supplementation is an easy way. And I try and say to the guys, you forget how much money is pumped into the marketing of these products. And I wish they could do the same for food. So definitely a food first approach. Can we get that? But, the reality is, you can't have a fully cooked meal within 30 minutes of finishing training, which is
all the time.
All the time. I mean, that's unrealistic. It's also, I'd love the guys to be eating this amazing vegetables and carbs and protein meals. Some of the guys do get it in hostel at whatever time it gets served. But then, and that's where, you can bring some form of supplementation in. Again, I'm so hesitant to say it because...
So what would you bring in?
I don't want to punt the whole Future Life thing, but that's where it has bridged a gap. We've got the energy bars, the high protein bars. We've got the squeezy shakes that are just so convenient for guys. A couple of guys that I've worked with privately, you can get them having smoothies and, you bring in a bit of the high protein cereals and stuff like that. And again, also depending on, before training, we want something high energy, and then after training, bit of high energy and high protein. So I always say to the guys, please, food first. And it's so hard because schoolboys want to get big, yes, and they want to get strong and they want to win. And it's like a process. Some of the guys that we work with, we'll start now. Already we identifying guys for 6 months' time. So when they start playing, it's not just a quick fix, and it's not like you just take this and you're going to be good. And that's where I think the misconception of supplementation
So where
is.
do you stand with creatine?
So creatine's an interesting, because there's so many benefits to it. But again, in schoolboy sports, it's just not something I really want to push.
Surely for recovery.
Yeah, but beyond that, there's so much more evidence now, like cognitively, it's so good.
Yes.
But again, because young adolescent guys are still growing, it's something that I'm very, very hesitant on. If you read any of these supplements, it's not recommended to under the age of 18. And there's a very good reason behind that. And so, it's very much an individual approach. It's not something I promote using. I think, creatine is produced naturally in the body, and you can get it from food sources, animal sources. And so definitely go for that more. And then, we study and we look and see, but sure, it's something I'm very cautious about, and it's not what the guys want to hear. They don't want to hear me say, please don't take
So we're not saying your growth is stunted because all the creatine you took at school. Not saying that at all.
I think me and you used to share Gareth Brout's Cytomax. I think 15 Oaks used to share that Cytomax.
Look at us now,
How much creatine is in a loaf of bread and slab chips?
Well, it kept us going. That was an important thing. It got us through that 5K swim set.
Listen, Puffos did save us, eh?
That saved an entire generation of Cares boys in there. Kirst, what's your biggest challenge? I heard you speak about boys just want something nice and quick. Boys want the quick fix. What other challenges are you experiencing? Because like I said, this is still very, very new, certainly in my experience in schools.
So, I think, boys are so active. A lot of these top schools, they're so involved. They're sitting in class, and then they're so involved in the sporting space. And I almost feel like they can never eat enough. It's something that I'm constantly working on, and just making sure that they're getting enough nutrients and the good stuff in them. That's one of our big challenges, making sure, and then just educating them that, we've had so many guys that haven't been, our guys this year, they weren't ginormous. Okay, yeah, they were strong. You got people like Andre Polton, who's a strong, solid guy. But we didn't have ginormous guys, but they were strong. And that's what I also trying to emphasize to the guys. Strength over size, that's a really big thing. Are they strong? Can they tackle? Can they do stuff?
What did Geordie say last week?
You must be strong. Don't look strong.
There you go.
Yeah. That's exactly it. But
I think it's difficult, Instagram, going.
I mean, and you want to walk around school with your protein bottle, and you want to.
Well, they lose it more times than they have in their pockets. So.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. The number of times I get asked for the extra shakers.
Yeah.
No, so I think just trying to break misconceptions. That's a big thing. And, you know, I've also seen, so like you see how these guys, like the first team, the guys are like real role models. I think also because they're really good guys and they're very humble in that. And look, so my job's made a little bit easier because then they want to know what they're doing and they want to be a part of it. So that's that's a really cool aspect. But I think trying to break these ideas that's a big thing that we work with. And there's quite a lot of resistance. Again, social media pumps it quite substantially. But that's a big challenge for me, and just trying to get them like, food is your best friend.
I think school sports changed so much because the boys have realized this is step one. You know, when we played school sports, it was because we were having fun. These guys know now this is how they start their career. So they're a lot more open-minded to hearing this from you. So it's also really cool that you teach them stuff because they're going to definitely leave with that knowledge as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one thing I definitely pride myself in is getting to know the individuals and what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. And like that, I say to them, guys, you have to be honest with me. Honesty and communicate with me. And I mean, my role is kind of also extended because food plays such an important role in recovery, in like the hydration side of things. That's a big aspect. Illness, and just like, guys, you have to speak. Prevention.
So what is something that you would... What is your go-to fruit or vegetable that you would say any of the athletes should eat?
Definitely bananas.
Okay.
Potassium.
Depending on when. So before games, no high fiber. So actually just trying to avoid some fruit that could cause a bit of tummy upset. So bananas are pretty good because they're pretty bland, quite low in fiber. So that's one thing that I definitely believe in. Probably not recommending mango before you run on a field. Okay. That's not going to work for you so nicely.
See, I just remember when we wanted to get all big and shredded, the little go-to was sweet potato.
Yeah, I mean, so it's so interesting because, you know, I think sweet potato is so important, but so is potatoes. They have like two completely different, well, not completely different, but there's different minerals and like components to it that are so beneficial. Again, when you're having them, is it pre, is it post? And so, yeah, and I just want to bring up because I think everyone thinks like nutrition, working, like it's all healthy, and I like, and it's quite funny. Sometimes you see the guys at the tuck shop and you can see they feel so guilty because they're buying a bar of chocolate or they're like eating some kind of junk food. And I'm like, guys, just chill, just relax. Like there's a place for it. And I'm also like, guys, there's a place for every food. And like particularly I try and educate them that, you know, after the game, have Coke, have like your muffins, your high, like all the stuff that you get told you shouldn't have, chocolates. That's like brilliant for post game because of your energy, like the certain components of the energy.
Stumpy, yeah?
Steri Stumpy is a firm favorite.
A muffin, banana, Steri Stumpy, or a milk thing after the game as recovery.
So yeah, guys love a Steri Stumpy. That's I mean, yeah, it's a firm favorite, but it plays such a cool role because it's, I mean, just it replaces the energy levels, like especially when it's been 70 minutes of like first team guys running and very high intensity, like intermittent, so stop start running. It gets the energies back energy levels so that your muscles can recover. So it's not only just like protein after a game, it's also about your you're getting your glucose back into your cells. So yeah, it's like the perfect time. I'm like, guys, please don't eat chocolate before the game, but by all means have something after the game like that. So it's also just trying to teach them like, they don't, yes, I mean, I always believe in an 80-20, like 80%, like really good whole foods, but the 20, you've got to also enjoy life.
Fair enough. They're in high school at the end of the day. So tell us, about your most awkward moment working with some of the athletes. I don't have to mention names, but there must be that one person who probably didn't know they were lactose intolerant until they got a chocolate milk, or didn't know they were allergic to something, or they just went along and ate whatever, and then amper oopsie daisy.
So, funny enough, I cover my bases. So, I do get to know these guys on quite a fine level and the happenings of their stomachs and stuff like that. I have to, it's part of my job. I can't take that risk. There have been instances where I've said, please just don't do this. And they did it. And then, like, the next day it's like, oh, I can't play. And I'm like, oh gosh, if something goes badly wrong, this is on me. This is all on me. If this guy's, but I mean, I like I said, I cover my bases, but
I feel like we're hiding something. I feel like we're hiding something.
Top secret. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I've like when I say be honest, I've definitely had teenage guys, honest conversations, and I'm like, and you can see it's so awkward for them. I'm like, guys, it's okay. I'm not judging you on this. This is going to make you be better, and it's going to stop some horrible moments for you that could potentially arise.
I just want to go off this nutrition topic here a little bit and go back to being an athlete. So you don't just go from being a high-level athlete like you were and then calling it quits and not do any more sports afterwards. I mean, there's 74-year-old oaks playing lawn bowls just because they need sports. Where are you getting your fix now?
Running. So you're right. You're 100% right. Like you finish sport and you're used to training 2-3 times a day. That's your job. And like, I mean, you can't just stop. I think I'd go insane. So, and I don't know if it's all athletes. I think it could be.
Well,
we're a little bit mentally.
You need to win. You have a desire to win still. So.
And also I really think we're extremists. It's like all or nothing. Like be the best or like, you know. So, I mean, I run and I run far and I run a lot and everyone's like, why do you do this? I'm
Lucky, that is between 16 to 20 Ks a day.
What, the running?
The running.
A day?
Yeah, so generally it's about 16 Ks. It's just like, I don't know.
6 times a week, Lucky.
What are we doing with life? Just cut it. Call it. Done. Finished. And that's just your fix. That's not like you're pushing for something. You're not running anywhere. Just wake up and go to do that.
Yeah. Or what am I running to?
Okay. Okay, well, we'll add that to the comeback lines of the show. Kirst, you do such an important job, and like I said, it's very new into the school setup. And when in hearing you speak, something that should be as crucial as teams having mental coaches, teams having doctors and physios and bios in terms of recovery. So, and it's nice how every professional that we've spoken to all form part of a holistic system in terms of getting the best out of these athletes out there. No one, other things are more important than the other, but it's all the intention to get it out there, but still very, very new. I'm an interested learner, or I'm an interested parent, or I'm an interested school or club that wants to find out more information. If I don't have access to a Kirsten Macdonald, where do I start looking? Do I just call up a dietitian or nutritionist? You know, where do we go?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's so hard because you can't, like, you know, and I just want to push this point a little bit. You can type a search into Google and you can find anything you want to find. And it's so risky because there's so much out there. And how do you know? How do you like figure out what's best for you? And I think the biggest thing is to chat to someone. But I think, nutritionist, dietitian, just get some advice. And I think if someone starts saying to you, supplement this, supplement that, then you kind of red flag and go, whoa, okay. I think trying to find someone that's also has an interest in sport as well, I think that's a big thing. yeah, it's a tough one to say, but I definitely think, just consulting, just chatting to someone, giving them a call, and you'll figure out who your person is that you can chat to, a nutritionist or dietitian. I mean, so often I've got guys that just contact me, and I really don't mind. All I want to do is get out there. How can you be a better version of yourself? How can you achieve your goals to be better? Just have a chat and so I suppose nutritionist, dietitian, someone sports specific is quite a big one, I think, because they can help you look at your sport and kind of realize it.
So did you have a nutritionist in your career?
So yes, initially I did, and then I think with my interest in it, you start studying it and definitely consult and chat, and you follow. I think it's so cool with social media now, because if you know who the right people are to follow, and you have an interest in that, you can get hold of that. And even someone like the Springbok dietitian, she's quite cool on social media. She often posts about stuff that work and doesn't, and you just super passionate about South Africa and the Springboks, but the nutritionist or the guy in charge of the nutrition for the England rugby team often sharing stuff what they're doing, and it's so cool that you can now get a feel for that. It's so cool. And so back to your question, yes, I did. And then you start developing a love for it, and you wanting to study, but I also feel you can never know everything.
Yes.
So you're still asking dietitians and nutritionists, how can we
So you were studying while you were an athlete?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you could implement directly onto yourself.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is getting to know yourself, what works. It's such, I can advise, but you have to get to know what works for you. What works for me is not going to work for you, for the next athlete. It's so hard to say, what can you, advice? I can give you very broad advice, but you have to, work with someone to get to know your body and what fills you, what actually works for you on race day or on game
I know
day.
what works for me, and there's no ways I'm dropping it, and that's a good old pasta. Actually, Nonna's pasta. I think I ate 5 bowls of pasta last time I went to Nonna. She hasn't invited me back since.
But I mean, I'm such a firm believer in a happy athlete is a fast athlete. Yes. And that can apply to all sports. I can tell you right now.
Very happy athlete.
Yeah. Please be happy on Wednesday on the golf course, Dino, so we can have a little bit better results on next week's show. Jeez, Kirst, we could probably spend the whole night talking on this. It's amazing that such things exist, such careers exist, and the influence that they have onto athletes. So thank you for the job that you do, not only at JP, but an extension to those boys that are playing in various clubs and representing provincial guys. And you must have been very happy in the last month or so, in particular, having had some of your boys either in the provincial rugby team, 3 of them in the SA and SAA schools side. So clearly what you're doing is making a bit of a difference, and we wish you all the best in this nutrition journey, particularly, and hopefully the word can spread the importance of nutrition in our schools, and not just for elite athletes, just for a normal 14-year-old boy getting into high school, or a girl coming into the high school arena. We really need to be looking after our bodies a little bit better. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely brilliant having you here, and hopefully not the last time. Yeah, well, folks, I think Dino and I have got a bit of a job to do in terms of what do we eat, when do we eat, and how do we eat it as well. Not necessarily sure where we're going to exercise the eating habits and where we're going to show if the eating habits are working, but certainly we'll have to find somewhere to show that it is working.
One thing's for sure is we will never be dehydrated.
No, definitely not. Yeah. There'll never be a shortage in terms of that department. Folks, what a show. Jeez. An Olympian on the couch, huh?
How cool is that?
I tell you, we might have to get a new couch in here and frame this one and put it away. But absolutely fantastic and wonderful once again, Dino, to have women in sport on our couch and showing us.
Yes, and happy Women's Month.
How it's done. Yeah, right in the middle of it there. Busy week coming up this weekend in terms of sport. Dino Biani will give you the lowdown as he does on a weekly basis. For me, well, catch me on the social media platforms to see where I am this week. I was at Ellis Park last week. Thanks to those of you that tuned in, came to say hello and sent us some messages of support. As usual, do follow us on all sorts of social media platforms. We'll get Ms. Kirsten Macdonald's details on there also to see how you can get a hold of her to find out all you need to know about dieting and being the best athlete you can in terms of what it is that you put into your bodies. Folks, that's us for this week. From our couch
to yours.
We'll see you next week. Now I'm hungry.
Cancel that takeaway order.